Welcome to SociologyVibes, where we simplify challenging ideas into easy to understand insights. Today, our focus is on the sociological explanation of the 4 different types of governments, including monarchies, oligarchies, dictatorships, and democracies. Sociologist Max Weber helped sociologists think deeply about how power is organized and why or how people accept authority in these systems. Sociologist asks, who holds power? How is power passed? Who gets to decide what happens in society? Even though this topic might seem political, it's about how people organize power in countries, communities, even workplaces, and families. Let's begin with monarchy. Monarchy is a government ruled by one individual, such as a king, queen, or member of a royal family, who is appointed by birth, inheritance, or divine intervention or God, and sanctioned by the church. Absolute monarchs have total power, while in many contemporary societies that have current monarchies, constitutional monarchs only take on symbolic duties, and these societies instead have democracies governed by constitutions. Saudi Arabia has a monarchy where royal family members hold real political power, while the United Kingdom has a royal family, but the government is actually run by elected officials. An oligarchy is a government in which power is held by a small group of individuals who have access to immense power via the military, ownership of wealth, or influential families, and oligarchs who are the owners of powerful corporations or businesses. On the surface, a government might present itself as a democracy, but in reality is ruled by a small group of power elites. Oligarchies are characterized as concentrated power among an elite small group. Theocracy is a government ruled by religious leaders and can resemble an oligarchy or even a monarchy, depending on its organization. A dictatorship or an autocracy is a government in which power is held by one individual who usually comes to power through force or military strength. For example, a government coup or a takeover, war, and revolutions. The dictatorship power is maintained through continual oppression, force, fear, censorship, and military strength. There are no regular elections, or they are fixed with predetermined outcomes. The masses do not have the freedom of speech or ability to challenge the government. Revolutions by the masses are usually squelched through violence and death or imprisonment. A totalitarian government or totalitarian dictator refers to the total control of all aspects of a society, including its religion, mass media, education, economy, medical, and even family institutions by the dictator or the dictatorship. Some of these dictatorships might also present themselves as a democracy where people vote, but these elections are rigged and only symbolic. Dictatorships can sometimes look organized or peaceful from the outside, but they usually rely on control, not consent. North Korea, Syria during Bashar al-Assad, Belarus under Alexander Lukashenko, Russia under Vladimir Putin, and China under Xi Jinping have all been described as having a system of power in which the power of these individuals cannot be challenged. A dictatorship centers power in one dominant leader, whereas an oligarchy centers power among a small elite group. Contemporary regimes tend to blur the lines between dictatorship and oligarchy because political parties and wealthy or military small groups do exist. However, in a dictatorship, real power is tightly controlled around the dictator. Communism is a philosophy or an ideology of how society should be organized economically and politically. In practice, communism is defined as the public or collective ownership of wealth, property, and resources distributed based on a collective good and need through society. Historically, communism in its pure form has never existed on a large scale in societies. Instead, countries that refer to themselves as communist are ruled by a single communist political party that looks like a dictatorship or an oligarchy. Today, some governments have multi-party systems where the Communist Party has representatives who are voted in to serve in parliaments. The United States has a two-party system made up of the Democrats and Republicans, but there are many smaller parties that have limited representations, for example, in state and local governments. The Communist Party is one of these smaller parties in the United States. Now let's move to a democracy. Democracy is a government with a constitution that describes roles and responsibilities of the government and its citizens. Democratic government means that people have the power either by voting directly or decisions or by choosing leaders to represent them. There are rules, elections, and some positions are limited in how long elected officials can stay in office. Now, in representative democracies, also referred to as indirect democracies, people elect political leaders to represent their interests, while in direct democracies, also referred to as pure democracies, all people make decisions. Although the United States has a representative democracy, some states and local governments in the United States have aspects of a direct democracy in which people vote on ballot propositions, initiatives, and referendums. The United States is a representative democracy. People we vote for, people who make decisions on our behalf in the legislative and executive branches. Many local communities also hold town hall meetings or elections where the residents shape policies. Democracy isn't perfect because not everyone has the same level of access or influence, but the core idea is the leaders are accountable to the people. An anarchy is not a type of government. Instead, it is the absence of a government and can occur in societies during war or massive chaos. Understanding these types of governments can help us notice who has power and how they access it and maintain it. We can think critically about how decisions and policies are made, who's included or excluded, who has a voice, and who fears using their voice. This awareness allows us to observe with a critical lens global relationships among countries and the impact of power on our own lives and communities. And that makes sociology worth exploring further, don't you think? Thank you for watching. Be sure to comment below with your thoughts, questions, or any topics you'd like us to explore next. Let's keep the conversation going and our community growing. See you in the next Sociology Vibes video.